It is that time once again for a closer, more analytical look at the week's top news stories with our powerhouse roundtable. And boy, we've got a great one for you today.
Mark Caputo is correspondent for Politico and writes the daily Politico Florida Playbook. Jessica Fernandez is the president of Miami Young Republicans, and she was a delegate to last summer's GOP convention. Kind of a claim to fame there. Marlon Hill is a Miami attorney with the Hamilton, Miller and Berthasell firm and past president of the Caribbean Bar Association. And Roundtable regulars all.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have
back.
you come in.
Thank you.
Marlon Hill, you heard Don Horn and Julie Brown. Don Horn is really an estimable person, I think. I have a lot of respect for him. But frankly, I don't come to the same conclusions really on that closeout memo on Darren Rainey that he and Kathy Rundle came to. How do you look at this?
Well, it's all based on the evidence. Really, Don is the supervisory executive at the state attorney's office for crafting the grand juries. So he has extensive amount of experience of preparing cases to go before. And that's what it's really going to boil down to at the end of the day as it relates to our judicial system. And it's going to be a battle of, but Kathy still has the discretion, and they make these choices, and you see what's happening in Orlando.
So you can live with the choices they made, which is not to charge any of the correctional officers who put Darren Rainey in that shower with culpable negligence or any criminal charge.
The public is still going to have questions about situations like this. There are countless and hundreds of cases similarly where cases are not brought. In this situation, they're making a judgment call, and they're going to have to pay the,
And they have, to Don Horn's point, he said he didn't take it to a grand jury so that everything would remain transparent. Anybody can go online and read the closeout memo and see what the evidence is, read Julie's stories. But Mark, it seems like it almost points for people to a larger concept of, do prisons need reforming and what goes on inside that we don't know? And to me, that's what I hear when people talk about this.
Well, before I address that, how long ago was 1989?
You're asking journalists to add backwards in their heads.
1989 was the last time the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office brought an excessive use of force case against the law enforcement.
Lozano.
Exactly, 1989. Justice Department has been here and found the Miami Police Department has had rot and has had problems doing its job. We've seen video of, or we've had cases of questionable uses of excessive force. We had the young men on Memorial Day who got shot to death by a variety of police. And then not only are folks never charged, but then it takes years for these investigations to go through. If you listen to Julie Brown's reporting of the Darren Rainey case, they didn't interview all of the witnesses, and then they release it at late Friday at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Usually you do that in government if you want to bury something because,
So
what
you've laid this predicate. You are saying what?
I am saying is that I can understand why people are very suspicious about this case, even though Mr. Horn laid out a good reason not to prosecute, because they never prosecute, it seems. This guy, and then we're going to talk about the system. This guy was in prison. Yeah, he had priors. He was a schizophrenic in prison because he had a cocaine possession charge.
It also raises the question,
right? And then now he's dead.
It also raises the question in terms of the public's suspicion on aggressiveness on pursuing law enforcement, right? Even with the case this week, with the shootings in Brownsville, where we do a lot of work, folks have a sense, are they exhibiting the same sort of passion and urgency to pursue cases against law enforcement, for investigating cases or dedicating resources?
Came up this week.
We'll get good point. We're going to get to it in a second. But Jessica, you do marketing and you understand. I think you nodded as Mark said. Look, you release a hugely important closeout memo, 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. That is St. Patrick's Day. If that's not trying to bury something important, I don't know what is.
I mean, I think this just reeks all around. I think the report raises more questions than answers them. I think the public has a right to know what happened, and I think that the report, in a lot of people's eyes, is insufficient, even though, Mr. Horn was very professional in being able to lay out his perspective from the prosecution's perspective. I think the public has a right to know what happened in this case, and the government has a duty to protect inmates in custody, and we should definitely expect more answers on that.
You said it raises questions for you. What questions in particular?
you know, as Mark was saying, this inmate was known to have psychiatric problems, was in a psychiatric ward. Why was this person not being monitored every 15 minutes? Why wasn't there a certain protocol to make sure that he wouldn't be alone for 2 hours? That raises a lot of questions. That's a lot of time gap, and you know, a lot of things could have happened in that 2-hour time period that was not accounted for.
Well, they did happen. I mean, eventually they found him after nearly 2 hours lying on his back in a pool of water because he was blocking the drain, and they say he didn't have burns, but an EMT at the scene examined him and said he had first and second degree burns over 30% of his body.
To answer Glenna's original question where I diverted, we are asking correctional officers to be psychiatrists. We underfund our mental health system, and it seems like our answer to so many things is to build more prisons and lock more people up. This guy, again, he was in there for cocaine possession. You know, only when white people started to die in big numbers from using too much heroin and fentanyl did drug abuse suddenly become a real health issue. But boy, if you're black and you're charged with cocaine, you're going to prison.
To your point, I think there's a whole issue here that we really didn't have time to get into, with some of the mental health professionals who work in this prison who had come forward to really raise questions about how
and still are raising questions.
And still are raising
we haven't seen it in the budget either yet.
Marlon, let's go back to the point you just raised, because I think one of the most stunning images that any of us have seen in quite a while was the police vehicle that was shot up the other night in Liberty City, not far from Pork and Beans. It was at
Brownsville, actually. It was Brownsville, the Annie Coleman projects.
Annie Coleman housing projects. I mean, you just look at this vehicle, maybe we can get some video up, and you just, you know, you think, thank God these two police officers were not killed.
You know, that really strikes home for me. You know, in our law firm, we have a partnership with Brownsville Middle School where we're trying to establish a law academy in a courtroom there, because there's several external forces around the school, including gangs, including this young kid who's been arrested for ambushing allegedly the police officers. You know, that neighborhood definitely needs more support with regards to changing the culture.
18 years old, I believe.
19.
It's tragic. I mean, you have young, mostly men, who are, you know, very endangered in their life, and they're committing bad choices. We need to really support them. Obviously, you know, our hearts go out to, you know, the law enforcement that were injured. You know, they're doing their jobs. They're trying to protect the community. They're trying to prevent things, and you know, it's a tragic incident.
I agree. It should be stated, most cops are great, and we certainly need them. A huge portion of them. But boy, when black kids get murdered in the ghetto, cops never seem to be able to find the shooter. And then all of a sudden they're able to find this guy in a day.
Our next topic we will explore in 2 minutes when we come right back.
That's why I did it.
Thank you. We are back with the Roundtable, picking up where we left off. Mark, we were talking about the arrest in literally fewer than 24 hours of a young man now accused of shooting these two police officers. An incredible arrest, lauded by everyone across the board, and then a group of mothers who have lost kids to violence, after the lauding of the great police work, asked this amazing question: why aren't we getting that kind of attention and that kind of police work investigating the people who killed our kids?
And what you'll hear from law enforcement is, oh, no one's cooperating. But I find that difficult to believe when you consider the number of murder cases, and also if you consider the case of the young man who shot the police officers. Let's say we don't know if the young man really did it, but certainly whoever shoots a police officer is scum. But the police really have a problem enforcing the law in these poor communities, because you had a mother of a 15-year-old child who was shot at his cousin's wake. I mean, that's psychopathology.
A year ago, that was about a year ago or so.
Yeah.
And that killer's still at large.
Yeah.
You know, why?
I think the mothers of the murdered children really have a fair question to ask, right?
Of course.
It's not really a question of one case being more important than the other.
Yeah.
They're simply asking for equity and parity on how cases are investigated in terms of urgency and resources.
Yeah.
It's a fair question.
Well, you know, you heard them at this press conference, and they were saying they're on it. They call the detectives and they get well, we're working on it and we don't really have any new leads. And to them, that's cognitive dissonance because they may know who is at least someone involved or someone who knows something. Jessica?
No, I mean, I think these mothers have an extremely valid concern, and I think the community deserves answers. We should not have, such a loss of life for young Black men in this community. It should never be happening, and I think that there needs to be a renewed push and a political effort to, get answers, and I think that's very fair.
And when we go to Brownsville, when we speak to the kids at Brownsville Middle School, we try to encourage them, listen, you need to speak up. If you see something, you need to say something.
That's a campaign.
We're trying to change that culture with them in terms of their respect for the law and authority and all of that. And it's going to take more resources from all aspects and all levels of the community to really transform what's happening in these neighborhoods.
And a different style of policing. Community policing needs to come back into these neighborhoods. The cops need to be interacting
which I think they are.
Well, under Juan Perez, Miami-Dade Police Department, and Chief Yanis in Miami, I think that they are. Also, I think Fort Lauderdale is doing the same thing, and BSO.
Well, look how long it took for them to take the gun from Javier Ortiz, the FOP union chief, who just an abusive troll. This guy should not have a gun.
Yeah. Well,
I'm a little uncomfortable with that.
Yeah,
because
he is an abusive troll. Well, no, he really is. He never met a police shooting he didn't like.
Let's kind of pivot, if we can, to Washington here. And Jessica, this week, I think, coming week's going to be a good week for President Trump in one respect, and that is Neil Gorsuch is going to get his up or down vote, and I think he's going to be confirmed by the Senate. And whether you think he's too conservative or not, Neil Gorsuch is, I think, well qualified. Elections have consequences. One consequence is the president gets to name a Supreme Court nominee, and it's Neil Gorsuch.
Listen, I mean, I think it's time to start filling up the positions that are empty in our government. We need a justice. In our Supreme Court.
We need 9 Supreme Court justices.
Absolutely. Yeah. We need to fill out our cabinet. So I do expect Neil Gorsuch to get confirmed. He has a great reputation on both sides of the political parties. And, he just has a track record of doing good work. So we just need to, kind of speed it up, get his folks in there so we can have a fully functioning government.
I question whether he will get 60 votes, though. I'm curious to see what will happen this week.
But there is apparently precedent for being confirmed with 51 votes. So, we'll see.
They'll probably, if there's going to be a filibuster, they'll probably just go nuclear, as what they say the nuclear option is, and blow up the filibuster with Supreme Court picks.
Mark,
good.
This late this week, when the president tweeted that Mike Flynn should get immunity and go testify, and as far as Russian meddling in the election, it's a witch hunt. I mean, frankly, the president can't get out of his own way sometimes. Why would he do that?
It's amazing. I think the president uses Twitter the way a lot of us do. Something comes in his mind, he tweets it. And then he might be 2 steps behind everything he tweets. Right. Why he continues to throw gasoline on a fire that's consuming his administration, at least on a theoretical level, obviously, is puzzling.
Yeah, because I think he questions he does not like the fact that his presidency is being question in terms of legitimacy. It gets under his skin. He doesn't like it at all. So he tweets it.
I think also, he wants to know why was, in the middle of talking about Russia hacking the election, why was there incidental surveillance of perhaps himself and definitely his associates. And, the only thing that we've been able to prove that's been criminal is the unmasking and the unveiling of some of these names.
Yeah, well, I think most reasonable people would say, all right, let the House and Senate, mainly Senate Intelligence Committee, do its work, let the FBI conduct its investigation. But the more the president questions the validity of even doing the investigation, the worse he looks.
Absolutely. And, he's prolonging something that's over. The election is over, right?
And, he's the president, right? And we're not. Yeah. All right, so thank you. We are out of time. Thank you all. Still to come, my personal perspective.